that the FBI doesn't want us to know. From secret missions gone wrong to letting criminals off the hook, even messing up sting operations, which we'll be talking about only in today's video. Starting off this countdown, we have James Whitey Bulger. James Joseph Bulger Jr., otherwise known as Whitey, was an American organized crime boss and FBI informant wanted by the FBI. He was the boss of a largely Irish mob in Boston from the 1970s through the 1990s. In the early 2000s, the FBI actually decided to seek help from a crime show in Germany. They had them air photos of James and his girlfriend and told people to look out for them, saying that they were extremely dangerous and armed. Except there was one problem with that. They didn't double check the pictures that they sent in to be aired. Soon, calls were flooding in saying that they spotted this dangerous couple. However, the photos the FBI chose to broadcast were of his parents, harmless retirees. So, for the next couple of days, they were doing damage control. How embarrassing. That's one reason why the FBI wants you to forget about this case. In our 9th spot, we have the wire fail. This next story about the FBI is literally gonna make you facepalm. So basically, in 2010, Brooks Kellogg was accused of hiring a hitman to try and murder a co-worker who sued him for $2.5 million. So the FBI decided to do a sting operation to get Kellogg to confess to his wrongdoings. So they sent an undercover agent in with a hidden camera and audio equipment. Only problem is that there was a faulty wire. Now, wouldn't you think that they would double, even triple check to make sure that... In 2008, the FBI was investigating an unsolved murder case when a tape was sent to them. On the tape, it sounded like someone getting tortured. Ultimately, they thought that this tape had to do with the unsolved case that they were working on. Boy, were they wrong, and it's embarrassing. Turns out that the tape actually belonged to a Tennessee judge. His secretary handed it over to the police after she was fired, and it's not of someone being tortured. The judge had made a tape of his sexual fantasies. Apparently, the tape contained, and I quote, graphic, erotic situations intertwined with legal dictation made by now former Judge Hagler. Due to this scandal, the judge did resign. How embarrassing for both the judge and the FBI, who thought that it was a solid lead. In our 7th spot, we have Whitey Bulger Part 2. So like I mentioned, this guy was an organized crime figure that also was an informant for the FBI. And the FBI knew that. In fact, they ignored that side of him if he promised to give them information about the inner workings of an Italian-American crime family. There's just a lot of things that they let slide with it.
3, 2, 1, action. Press play.
This guy that they definitely shouldn't have. Plus, one of the reasons why he was on the run in the first place was because his former FBI handler told him that they were coming for him. So he fled and went into hiding for 16 years. Imagine that. Coming in at number 6, we have Christine Collins. A woman named Christine Collins made headlines after her young son, Walter Collins, went missing. At that time, the FBI was dealing with a number of scandals, so they thought, hey, if we find this woman's missing son, that would look so great on us. In the end, they ended up finding her son and returning him to her. Only problem, it wasn't her son. The FBI was like, nonsense, this is your boy, you're just delusional. So they locked her in a psychiatric ward for 10 days. That's when it was revealed that the boy was indeed not her son. Sadly, her son was actually kidnapped and then murdered in a series of murders known as the Wineville Chicken Coop murders. But imagine that, like, you're crazy, lock her up, it is her son. Come on, man. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the... halfway mark with the Beltway Snipers. These were a series of coordinated shootings that occurred over the course of 23 days in October of 2002. 2 snipers randomly shot 13 people. 10 died, while 3 survived but were left in critical condition. One of the victims was FBI intelligence analyst Linda Franklin. Fear quickly spread in the area, and the FBI was facing immense pressure to catch these guys before more people wound up dead. They were finally caught on October 24th of 2002 when the 2 men were found sleeping in their car at 3:15 a.m. 3 weeks to find cold-blooded killers, it seems kind of short, but the FBI was under tons of public pressure and were heavily scrutinized for not catching them sooner. In our 4th spot, we have the corruption. Just a couple of years ago, an ex-FBI special agent, Babak Bromund, was arrested after it was found that he was accepting bribes linked to an Armenian criminal organization. Not only that, but he was falsifying documents to cover up these bribes. He ended up being charged with 3 counts of making false statements to a government agency to cover his bribes, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit bribery of a public official. It was found that a lawyer linked to the criminal organization made regular bribe payments to and purchased gifts for Babbitt while he was an FBI agent working on national security matters. The lawyer apparently bought him a $36,000 motorcycle and paid him $30,000 for a down payment on a second home in Lake Tahoe. All this among other things. In return, Babbitt would do things for him like diffuse any law enforcement interests in him, and he would also search the FBI database and find out what dirt they had on him and others. In our third spot, we have Larry Nasser. Back in 2015, news broke that young women, a part of the USA gymnastics team, were being taken advantage of by gym owners, coaches, and staff. One of them being Larry Nasser. Larry is said to have taken advantage of at least 250 young women since 1992. And apparently the FBI severely mishandled this case. For example, in July of 2015, the FBI were first notified about the allegations against Larry. It took them until September 2016 until they started to actually investigate him. By then, 70 more athletes were taken advantage of by him. Not only that, but he was caught lying to the FBI on multiple occasions, and they did nothing about that. An attorney for 150 of the women called the FBI out and said, and I quote, "When an ordinary American citizen lies to the FBI in the course of an investigation, they are prosecuted. Yet no charges have been filed against anyone as a result of this 5-year investigation." In our second spot, we have Stoneman Douglas High School shooting. In February of 2018, Nicholas Cruz went into Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland and shot at the students and staff. As a result, 17 people were killed and 17 more were left injured. Well, it turns out that the FBI had received a tip a month prior to the shooting. The tip told the FBI about Cruz's gun ownership, his desire to kill people, his erratic behavior, and even his social media posts, which were disturbing. All the signs of him conducting a school shooting were there, and they handed it to the FBI, and they basically did nothing. The FBI even admitted that they did not follow proper protocol on this tip. Had they might have been able to prevent this from happening. And in our number 1 spot today, we have Viola Liuzzo. Between 1960 and 1965, an FBI informant, Gary Thomas Rowe, was given the task to infiltrate the coup plan. He then was to report to the FBI information on the group members and their activities. But he was told not to participate in attacks or violent situations. But he ignored this. In 1965, a white woman named Viola Liuzzo was murdered by this clan. They had fired shots into her car after noticing her passenger was a young black man. Gary was there when it happened, and he became an accessory to murder. To make matters worse, the FBI spread rumors that the victim, Viola, was a heroin addict, a member of the Communist Party, and that she abandoned her children to have sexual relationships with African Americans involved in the civil rights movement. Meanwhile, she was a civil rights worker that just wanted to help people, and all that stuff was just made up by the FBI. Alright guys, that's all for today's video. Let's move quickly along to some comments. I'll be shouting out comments from the video. Top 10 one commented, "Looking real 90s on this one. I love my overalls." And I'm glad you said that because I love the 90s. Alright guys, that's all the comments I'm shouting out for today's video.
If you're like me and lead a busy life, having your weekday meal sorted by new foods can be life.
Kicking off the list at number 10, William Thomas Stead. Born in 1849, William Thomas Stead was the son of Congregationalist minister, and at the age of 22, he was appointed as editor of the Northern Echo, a regional newspaper in Darlington. This British medium, Richard Borsonov, featured a photo of W.T. Stead and a spirit. Or a demon. One of the two, both pretty terrifying. While William was investigating a spiritual case, he took this photo with what's supposed to be the spirit of Pete Botha. Now, the reason many believe that maybe the spirit is evil is that Stead later on died in the Titanic. He boarded the ship to take part in a peace congress at Carnegie Hall, and survivors mentioned William Thomas Stead a few times. Apparently at dinner, he was chatting his way throughout the entire 11-course meal, recounting exciting, spooky times in his life, even mentioning a cursed mummy that he encountered at the British Museum once.
Ah.
That's a little odd for table talk. He even gave his life jacket to another passenger that night too. Stead would often claim that he would one day pass due to hanging or to drowning. And right before he was to be awarded with the Nobel Peace Prize, he passed away due to the latter. Was he cursed? I believe so, to be honest with you. What do you guys think? Number 9, demonic boy photograph. It doesn't matter where or when, but odds are you've probably seen this photo at some point. All those late nights when you're scrolling through Reddit, you've probably seen this at some point. I know I have, and every time I see it, I'm kind of like, it looks pretty real. It's pretty haunting. You know when you see a photo, sometimes you get bad vibes, like it registers in your brain as something scary and real. Like you want to find something that looks fake about the photo, but it's tough. This photo was taken inside the Amityville house in 1976. It appears to be a young boy or ghost, spirit, demon, whatever, with glowing white eyes. It was taken with automatic cameras equipped with infrared. And it makes it even creepier that the boy looks like he's peeking around the corner. Like he knew something was coming almost, he didn't want to get caught. That's the creepiest part here. A photographer named Gene Campbell took it, and Gene was working with paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren at the time. Yeah, the famous duo now rocking the big screen Conjuring universe. This was a real thing. They were on this case in real life. This photo was revealed 3 years after it was taken, and it was revealed on the Merv Griffin show. Imagine seeing this on a show, like Jimmy Kimmel whips this out. It's like, hey, we're gonna play Plinko. Check out this demon. Many believe this is the ghost of John DeFeo, one of the boys who lived there prior during the 1974 event. Now, we're still trying to cover this one, but what do you guys think? Is this an elaborate hoax? Is this a young boy? Or is this one of the many demons that was said to haunt the house? Sound off down below. Number 8, the SS Watertown. This picture here, perhaps, is one of the creepiest on this list. I'm not sure what to think of this one. It comes from 1924, and it shows what appears to be 2 older men, or 2 older figures almost. I don't know, it's water, it's hard to tell. Some believe it's James Courtney and Michael Meehan in the water. Now, the 2 had previously died and were buried at sea, hence that's why their first thought was them as to who it was. Other crew members saw these strange faces in the water as well, so when they turned back to get another look, 5 out of the 6 photos showed nothing. This was the only photo that showed what they saw. Are these the 2 lost crewmen, or is the vessel haunted by sinister forces? Number 7, backseat driver. This photo is from 1959. Okay, it was taken by a lady named Mabel Chinnery. And the photo, at first glance, is just a classic 60s shot of a man in a car. That man was Mabel's husband. Now, the man in the back seat, however, that back left seat, we have no idea who that was. Her husband apparently was the only guy in the car at the time. And also, that's a pretty tough angle. If you wanted to recreate this photo with your friends after work, like, try this. This is a really hard shot, even with phones now. It would be hard back in the day. It's like he's appearing to us through the seat almost with that angle. So either this is a lie, which happens often, people can lie, and a man was sitting in the back left seat, or like Mabel thinks, maybe this is her dead mother-in-law. Now, if she had said father-in-law, I think maybe it was his spirit, but this for sure looks like an older gentleman with a collar or something. Kind of looks like, dare I say it, the devil. I don't know, I read a lot of comic books. Number 6, Coventry Society Demon. You may be thinking, some of these may not be demons, Taylor. Maybe they're just nice spirits who stuck around after they passed. Yeah, while it's nice to believe that, photos like this convince me otherwise. This is from the Coventry Freeman Society, and it shows everybody at this event dressed to the nines. But when you look at the top left corner over here, you see a hooded figure. Somebody that clearly doesn't belong with the vibe in this room at this event. Nobody else was seen also at any point at that night wearing a hood like this, so of course many believe it was a dark part of the afterlife photobombing this event. Honestly, I totally the hood. Maybe I've been watching Harry Potter lately, I don't know. Maybe it's a Dementor, we actually don't know. Number 5. The ghost pilot. Oh, this one gives me the creeps. I'm hoping it's just a friendly ghost. I included it because it's kind of nice, but you never really know, honestly. This one, I did some research. It's creepy. Any sort of spirit, I don't welcome. Yeah, I don't gamble on the afterlife. I'm actually all set. The ghost pilot is a photograph that shows a spirit from 1987. A woman named Mrs. Sayer was visiting an airfield in England, so of course she did the classic tourist thing and got a photo in the cockpit. We all do it at some point, but do you ever think of who may have died in that exact spot before? After the age of 10 years old, I was like, you know what? I understand ghosts. I'm not going to sit in that tank. I'm good, thanks. People swear the Titanic was a cursed ship and that spirits were responsible for the ship's bad luck. Now, next time you want to sit in the pilot's seat, look around for spirits, because this image was developed and it appears that somebody or something was in the helicopter with Miss Sayer the whole time. Number 4, the Paris Demon. Originally, the tunnels under Paris were built for stone mines, but near the end of the 18th century, it turned into something haunting. Cemeteries were starting to fill up, and I mean that in a literal sense, and humans didn't figure out how to be clean, so bodies would just be laying on the sides of the roads. They started to pile up over time, so the solution was to use these catacombs. They were no longer needed for those mines anymore, so might as well use them as a mass graveyard. And now we have the scariest basement in the world. We have walls of skulls that, on one hand, it's cool as hell, it's natural history, it's gothic, yet beautiful. But when Google Maps tried to give a user an up-close look, it seemed to have caught a shadowy demon figure. With more than 6 million souls laying down there, it doesn't shock me to hear about something like this at all. There's a video of the street view, and in it you can see this figure. Check it out yourself. Number 3, demons are us. For this next one, we'll be going down the Lego aisle. Yeah, how fun. Haunted Toys R Us. Can you imagine all those toys starting up at night by themselves? Bay Area's Haunted Toys R Us is no longer a thing. Thankfully, as of 2018, that location closed down, but its tales, they live on forever. The Sunnyvale Toys R Us demonic presence appeared in the background of this photo. But of course, like others on this list, the people present at the time of the photo swear that nobody else was there. It's like everyone has bad memory, everyone has good memory. I can't really tell right now. It's like, could this be a spirit or a demon caught on tape that just happens to be at a Toys R Us? I vote yes. Employees talked about creepy things happening there at night all the time, and the Sunnyvale store is indeed haunted by more than one ghost. That's what people say. The store stood where the Murphy farm once stood, so many think the spirit is the ghost of Johnny Johnson. I don't know, the fact that Ouija boards are a toy that is commonly used to, communicate with spirits, maybe closing these doors was the best call. I don't think we welcomed in any good spirits. I don't think any spirits are clocking in for work, you know what I mean? Now it's closed, so I'm like, it didn't work. Whatever we tried, didn't work. Number 2, ghost boots. These boots are made for haunting, and that's just what they'll do. Yeah, I put a pair of boots on this list. That's where we're at now. This photo of a young girl may look like a classic family trip, but upon closer inspection, it seems like somebody or something is standing behind her. Now, of course, her father said that nobody was behind her at the time that it was taken, and I agree that, and honestly, and I believe him. Honestly, that would be pretty weird if he was like, hey, can you stand right here? Yeah, you behind my daughter, don't move, but you stand right here in this open field. Thanks. Ka-ching. I don't believe it. I don't buy it. It's weird. This shot was taken at Zushi Zenagawa, Japan, and you can see boots and what looks like clothing sticking out from behind the child's elbow. The kid's father said, I took a few photos, and when I was looking through them at night, I noticed a boot.
Pause it. Head home. Head to bed. Tomorrow's Saturday. Unlock my car. Start my car up. Close the door. Fuck. Well, fuck. Okay, give me a minute. 3, 2, 1, action. I can't let the feds know either, like I said before. I can't let them know I'm driving underage. Otherwise my mum will get in trouble. I don't want my baby skanky, beautiful mummy to be in trouble. Park this shit here. Rocket. Rocket. Unlock it. There we are. Lock it back up. Head into my room. My room. Here. Head to bed. 7 in the morning. Good morning, son. Good morning, Mum. And you two sexy sisters. So, what are we doing for weekend? For the weekend, Mom and sisters? You can do whatever you want. Okay, we're gonna chill here. All good. See ya. Can I still borrow? Yeah, sure. I'm buying a new car tomorrow, so you can have that car. Thanks. You're welcome, son. See ya. See ya. Let's head out. Can't believe it. She's buying a new car tomorrow. Hell yeah. So I can have this car now. Nice. Hell yeah, buddy. Let's park the car. Press play.
Behind her. I took several photos.
Have a joint for the
day.
day.
One of them had boots. You always see that in movies, right? At night they're going through and they see like it's 2 a.m. It's never at a Walmart while it's being developed. They don't find these photos in a bright, busy area. It's always in like a dark kitchen. Ugh, it's creepy. So he freaked out and then put it on Reddit, and then now we're here. Full circle. And finally coming in at number 1, cave drawings. I know these aren't photos, but come on, there's nothing more eerie than humanity's origin, right? Let's do it. Let's go back. Let's turn the clocks back. And for archaeologists from around the world, this cave system in France doubles as the world's oldest art gallery. These Paleolithic paintings are haunting to look at. They were created from humans about 20,000 years ago, and it's now considered a heritage site. There's many of these caves around the world. So if you're thinking about sneaking down there in the Lascaux caves and taking a look yourself, well, you better think again. The cave was opened originally in 1948, but due to carbon dioxide levels from visitors, it was closed in 1963. Learning about our history is challenging, and when it's slowly fading away, that surely doesn't help. You gotta hold your breath while you read. This is crazy. I'm currently reading a book called Supernatural by Graham Hancock, and in it he tries to dig through history to find the origins of spirituality, and markings in caves like these ones from ages ago definitely help. They resemble these demon-looking creatures almost, and this is long before religion. These drawings were supposedly from hallucinations, but many believe it's one of the first accounts of a demon interacting with a human. It's just drawn on cave wall. Pec Merle is a cave in France that also has these strange drawings, and some say they resemble aliens, others, of course, voting demons. What do you guys think? This is from 25,000 years ago. Write all your thoughts and concerns down in the comments below. Kicking off the list at number 10. Midnight Snap. You do the same, but in the meantime, I'll read you the caption for this photo. They say, after hearing taps and noises from my kitchen, I take a photo and I see this. That's pretty scary. Maybe it's the Jabberwockies and they're going to do a flash mob in your kitchen. That's what it appears to be. Or maybe, as these several other 1,000 people have commented, you should leave the house right away. That's terrifying. Also, the taps and stuff, being in Canada, I would assume that's raccoons, but that's much more scary than raccoons. Actually, it's pretty close. 5 raccoons versus 1 demon. I'm like, it's a lot of hands, a lot of grabbing. Is this a real ghost photo or is this a hoax? I zoomed in on the photo once and honestly, that was enough for me. You can go check it out yourself if you want. I'm done with this one. Number 9, photobomb. We have to include the work of William Hope in a list of spirit photography. I mean, he was the paranormal pioneer. In 1920, he took a photo of a couple, and in the background, this one's also a little tricky to see, but if you zoom in, you can see a really tall woman floating in between the two. Yeah, this one's really out there, so I'm not really sure I'm buying it, but also there's something to it that gives me the creeps still. It's like she's missing her head almost. The silhouette doesn't have a head. You can clearly see her face in the middle of the body, like near the chest. It's intriguing either way, but one way or another, it's not easy to tamper with photos. Today, you can easily fake this photo of a demon or a monster or whatever, but back in the 1920s, I don't know. Could you do this? Get out of town. Cameras back then were like fire hazards. No. I'm not buying it. That's for sure a demon. Number 8, the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall. This one is a classic. If you haven't seen this photo, it's gonna live rent-free in your head. That's for sure.
If you wanna believe
this tale kicked off
it's a demon or whatever, that's fine. For me, I don't know. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna stay in the middle. And don't know. I'm not gonna guess
Just
I
a
just
ghost
say
floating
don't
on
know.
your staircase after a long night. We love it. Legend has it the ghost is that of Dorothy Townshend. She was the sister of Robert Walpole, who was the first Prime Minister of Britain back in 1676. A little bit of history there. Some reports say that the image is a result of long exposure gone wrong, but either way, I don't like looking at this photo. Let's move on again. Number 6, floating hand. This one is so scary. Okay. 6, floating hand. This one is so scary. Okay, another photo from over 100 years ago. This time, the photographer may or may not have caught a floating demon hand. Yeah, that's where we're at now. Part 2, we love it. I'll show you the photo. You let me know if you see anything at first. Here we go. Okay, take a good look. Anything just sticking out, poking out, anything weird? This photo is a group of women who worked in a linen factory, and the lady on the far right has an extra hand. This one's resting on her shoulder. This may be a hidden person. I mean, maybe somebody with long arms was out of frame. I'm a lanky dude, I get it. I can put my arms around like 9 of my closest friends. Look at this, I'm out of frame for both these hands. That's nuts. But it's the positioning of the hand that gives me the chills. It looks curled almost, which gives me like a demonic, insidious, the last key vibes. I don't like it. Let's move on. Number 5, the Spectre of Newby Church. This one comes from 1963, so it's a little more recent, but even so, this is one of the most convincing ones on this list. In my humble opinion, I haven't seen any ghosts or anything. Reverend K.F. Lord took this photo in Newby Church in England, and Lord assures us that this photo is 100% real. He didn't tamper it. Anyone named Lord doesn't lie about things. That's just facts. I mean, to be fair, it looks like the spirit is facing the camera, like it's a pretty good frame. It looks definitely fake. The whole Plague Doctor vibe is going on, though. That's what makes me feel sick in this whole situation. Anything with Plague Doctors has always given me the creeps. I don't like it. I worked at an amusement park, and their Halloween haunt month thing, and I was assigned as a Plague Doctor, and I couldn't even look in the mirror. Also, for sure, I wouldn't have just faced a photo if someone's taken. I would have done like a creepy move. This is too normal. I don't know. But the fact that it's normal makes it kind of believable. The figure seems to be standing on the first step to the altar, yet somehow is still taller than the altar itself. We think by this photo, it's about 9 feet tall. Whoever faked this, if that is the case, must have been on stilts. Also, stilts and a sheet over your face on a staircase, that's just impressive either way, honestly. Number 4, the background demon. Another piece of work from William Hope, this one even creepier than the last. The face of this demonic woman appears to be floating above the lady on the right of this photo. Again, these are from the 1920s, and the only hint as to who or what was in these photographs was written on the back. Yeah, something's written on the back of this photo. That's how you know it's real. The message reads, "Why is the child always pushing to the front?" Which is a very creepy question. And the message below it also reads, "Do we get messages from the higher spirits?" Okay, 2 creepy questions written on the back of a creepy 1920s photo. Is this what you wanted? Because I didn't want to see this, but now I had to, and it's going to be here, and now you'll be fine. You're going to keep scrolling through YouTube. I'm going to go to bed over there and be afraid. Hit that thumbs up. I don't know. Maybe I'll be able to sleep. It'll definitely help. Number 3, nursing home spirit. Okay, we're the final 3, so it's time to get real. This photo was taken from a nursing home resident the same night another resident had passed away. This was back in 2015, and that night they heard a door open and close, but at this hour there were no visitors there at the time. Or, sure, or was it logins, all that jazz. People can just waltz in, or walk in for that matter. So there's also a great amount of people who think that this image here is one of 2 things. The spirit of the resident that passed away, or the Grim Reaper. Yeah, the door opening and closing, people think that was the Grim Reaper coming in. How scary is that? A few comments were saying how it's comforting to know that in the end you aren't alone. Yeah, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I'd rather die alone than have this dude break into my home at 4 a.m. and then just walk me to the living room where I'm gonna die. I don't know. I'm all set. Number 2, window spirit. Personal trainer Tony Ferguson was filming a castle in England, as most personal trainers do, but when the 33-year-old looked back on that footage, he thought that he'd missed out on a prank. He couldn't believe what he was looking at. Check it out. This was at Hearst Castle in Hampshire. He also recalls that nobody could have been moving around in that space. It was very petite. This wasn't the first time the spirit also had made its presence known, though. The time before, Tony Ferguson said